And we are now back on record after a tape change at 10:02 a.m.
Mr. Hobbs, you understand that you're still under oath?
I do.
Okay. I have, I'll be honest, as part of this lawsuit, I have learned more about the events of May the 5th than I ever knew about. And I will also be honest in that in reading these materials, looking at your police interview, reading your journal, listening to what other people said, it's still unclear to me as to what happened that night. So I wanted you to tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in your own words, what happened that night and what you did from when you got off work until the 3 little boys were found. I want you to tell us in your own words what happened. Can you do that?
I can.
Please do.
But I'd rather not.
Well, I appreciate that you'd rather not, but I need you to. You've brought
if you
brought
had
this
to
lawsuit.
relive something like this,
Mr. Hobbs, you've brought the lawsuit. You chose to relive it. And so I want you to look into that camera and tell the ladies in the jury, under oath, what happened that day and what you did.
I did what a parent would have done.
I want you to walk me through from when you got off work, what you did and what happened until the little boys were found. And I apologize if it's hard to relive. I have 2 little boys of my own, and I can only imagine.
No, you can't.
I can only imagine the pain.
You cannot.
Well, maybe I can't. But I've lost a brother to sudden death as well. So I think I have a little empathy, maybe not as much. But I need you, since you brought this lawsuit, to look into that camera and tell the jury what happened.
As a parent, I come home from work May the 5th, 1993.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that one of my children was not at home. I asked my wife, "Where's Stevie?" He's gone off riding his bicycle with his friend Michael Moore. I did what any other parent would have done. I'd go outside and look down the street, seeing when he's supposed to come home. He's supposed to have been home by 4:30. Didn't see him on the sidewalk. Pam cooking supper, wife, had to be at work by 5 o'clock. We don't eat supper because Stevie's not home. We always eat supper together. And it comes getting close to 5 o'clock, we decide to go ahead and take Pam to work.
That's you and Amanda?
Me and Amanda and Pam.
And Pam, you and Amanda decided to take Pam to work?
We all 3 decided that it's time for her to go work.
Between 4:30 and when you got home, it was time to take Pam, other than walking out and looking in the street. Did you do anything to find Stevie?
Not before then.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
We take Pam to work by 5 o'clock. We stopped over at the Moore's house.
Pam worked where?
At Catfish Island Restaurant.
Okay.
In West Memphis.
How long did it take you to get from your house to the Catfish place?
Roughly 10 minutes.
Okay. And did she get there right at 5 or a few minutes before?
She usually tried to go in a few minutes early.
Okay. And then you and Amanda then went back to your house?
We stopped by the Moore's house, Michael Moore's parents' home, on the way over there to take Pam to work.
Were they home?
No.
Did you
Her
ring
daughter was there.
Did you rang the bell and talk to the daughter?
Pam might have. I'm not sure if it was me or Pam that done that.
Okay. Well, Amanda was what, 4?
Correct.
So you sat in the car and sent your 4-year-old to the door?
I said Pam.
Oh, Pam. I thought it was. Well, no. Hold on now. We
were on our way to take Pam to work.
Okay. Well, my question before. I apologize. My question before had been before you got home, after you got home, and before you dropped Pam off, what you had done other than go outside in the street, and you said nothing. Now you and Pam and Amanda stopped at the Moores on the way, or was that after you dropped Pam off? You can see why I'm confused, Mr. Hobbs.
On our way to take Pam to work, we stopped at the Moore's home.
Okay. So Pam was still with you at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Pam went to the Moore's house?
One of us did.
You or Pam, you don't remember which?
Correct.
And you rang the bell, and Mrs. Moore wasn't there, but their daughter was there?
Yes.
And who was their daughter?
Dawn Moore.
And how old was Dawn at the time?
I think she was a little bit older than Stevie.
Okay. 8, 9, 10?
Something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay. And no one else was home. Stevie obviously wasn't there.
Correct.
Okay. And so, and then at that point, you went from the Moores to the Catfish place?
We did. Took
And you-
Pam to work.
And you got to the Catfish place a little bit before 5, and it took 5 minutes to get from your house to the Catfish place. Where's the Moores in relation to the route you would have taken from your
They're
house?
en route to her,
Okay.
from our home to her work.
Well, do you recall what time you left your house to
No, I don't.
stop at the Moores?
No.
Okay. All right. So you and Amanda drop Pam off at 5 o'clock. And then
Roughly.
you go, roughly. And then you go back home. You don't stop at the Moores again, right?
I stopped at the Moore's home on the way back to see if the boys had made it there.
Okay.
And they were not there.
Did you go to the front door, or did Amanda?
I did.
Okay. So now you went to the front door. And was just the daughter there still?
Yes.
Anybody else there?
Not that I could see.
All right. Then what happened?
Well, we ride around the neighborhood looking for them because we know they're on bicycles.
And so you and Amanda drove around the neighborhood.
We did. We did that for a while.
Do you recall how long?
No, I don't. But anyway, we're riding around the neighborhood looking for our little boys on bicycles. We don't find them.
Did you know who Stevie was with at that point?
Well, he was supposed to have been with Michael Moore. That's all I knew.
Okay.
So we go back.
Where did you drive around looking?
Our neighborhood that we live in,
Okay.
West Memphis.
All over West Memphis.
In our neighborhood.
Does the neighborhood have
It does not.
what would be the boundaries of the area in which you searched then, Mr. Hobbs?
From our home to his home.
To the Moore's home.
Correct.
And where is the Robin Hood area? Where's that in relation to that?
Robin Hood was behind the Moores and Byers home.
Okay. Okay. So you stop at the Moores, no one except the daughter's there. You drive around with your 4-year-old daughter for a while.
Right.
Then what happened?
And we go to back to our home, and we park the car, and me and Amanda walk around the neighborhood.
Do you recall about what time that is, sir?
No, I don't.
Was it before 6 or after 6?
I don't recall.
Okay.
But we're riding around the neighborhood, or
Right.
walking around at
Thank
this
you.
point, seeing if we could hear them, see them or something, and we don't. So we go back to our house, and Don Moore's pulls up in my driveway.
Do you know about what time you went back to your house?
No, I don't.
You have any sense? 7
No, I
o'clock, 6:30, 7, 8, 9?
No, I don't.
Was it light?
It was still daylight.
Okay.
But
So you went back to your house, and Miss Morthing came to your house.
she pulls up in our driveway,
Okay.
and she asked us if Michael Moore's at our house, and I said, no, it's Stevie, it's yours. She said, no, but I'm heading back to her house, or she's heading back to her house, and I said, we'll follow you over there, see if the boys are there. We get over her house, the boys are not there, and we're standing in her front yard talking, and here comes John Mark Byers walking across the street. That's the first time I met John Mark Byers.
Do you recall about what time this was, sir?
No, I don't. He asked, is Christopher over at the Moore's home? And we, Don or Dana speaks up and tells him no. And it might have been then when we figure out they all three might have been together.
Mr. Hobbs, I hate to interrupt, but you're covering your microphone there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. How long were you at the Moors before Mr. Byers showed
I'm
up?
not sure.
I mean, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour?
I'm not sure.
Was it a short period of time or a long period of time?
I'm not sure.
How long were you at the Moors' house?
Wasn't that long, but I don't know how long. Wasn't long.
Okay. All right. So then when Mr. Byers shows up, you looking for his son, right?
Correct.
Then what happened?
We just split up and start looking for him.
Okay. Split up.
Dawn stays at the home and says she'll wait by the phone in case somebody called. I take my daughter over to a friend's home,
Who's that?
and David Jacoby and his wife Bobby, they had little kids also. David goes with me, and we start riding around looking for the little boys. At the same time, the Byers, Mark and Melissa, are riding around looking for their boy. And we continue this for all the way up to the next morning.
Okay. I need to fill in a few, obviously fill in a few blanks. How long were you at Mr. Jacoby's house?
Long enough to drop my daughter off and see if he'd go help me.
Okay. And did he go help you?
He went around with me, and we rode around looking. He sure did. All the way up till early in the morning.
Well, let's back up. So what time, do you recall what time you left Amanda and Mr. Jacoby's house?
No, I don't.
Do you recall how, and you and Mr. Jacoby drove around in a car looking?
We did.
Your car or his car?
Probably mine.
Okay. What kind of car were you driving?
I don't remember.
Where'd you drive around?
The whole city of West Memphis.
Just in your neighborhood or just all
The
over?
whole city of West Memphis.
Okay. Did you play any Guitar Hero while you were at Mr. Jacoby's?
I don't recall. I don't remember that.
You don't remember playing Guitar Hero at Mr. Jacoby's for a while?
Not that day. I don't remember.
You used to play Guitar Hero a lot at his house, right?
No, never.
Never played Guitar Hero at his house?
I play guitars at his house,
Okay, guitars. I'm
but
sorry.
not the game.
All right, I apologize. Do you recall playing guitars at his house that night?
No,
You don't recall or you didn't?
I don't recall.
Did you smoke any marijuana while you were at his house
No,
that night?
No.
Do any other drugs while you were at his house that night?
no.
While you were out looking for the boys, prior to the time that you went to pick Pam up at work, did you ever find the boys?
No.
If somebody testifies that they saw you with the boys that night,
Do what?
if somebody testified that they saw you and the boys, would they be lying?
Mm-hmm. They would be lying.
Because you never found the boys.
No, I never found them.
Never found them alive?
Never found them at all.
Okay. So if someone were to testify that they saw the three little boys standing behind you on the evening of May the 5th, prior to the time that you went to pick up Pam, they'd be mistaken.
And most definitely. I can't wait to hear that one.
Did you see Stevie at all that day, May the 5th?
No, I did not.
Did you see any of the three boys that day?
No, I did not.
So you didn't give Stevie... What time was Stevie supposed to be home? You said 4:30?
Pam told me 4:30.
Okay. You never gave Stevie permission to stay out later that night?
And I never seen Stevie that day.
Okay. Did you talk to Stevie that day?
No.
Did you have a phone in your house?
Uh-huh.
Did you have to answer out loud? Was it working?
Sure.
Okay. So you and Mr. Jacoby, so you dropped your daughter, Amanda, off at Mr. Jacoby's, and you and Mr. Jacoby drove around all over West Memphis looking for the 3 little boys.
Good answer.
Well, that's not my answer. That's your testimony, right?
It is.
Okay. And you never found them.
We never.
You never saw them.
Never.
At some point, then what time did you stop looking with Mr. Jacoby?
David had to be at work May the 6th, roughly a.m., early a.m., May the 6th.
Okay. When did you call the police to report that your son was missing?
When we picked Pam up from work.
Which was
9 p.m., May the 5th.
9/11, exactly, correct?
Okay.
Does that sound about right, that you made the
I don't
call at
remember.
9/11?
I know we called from Catfish Island when I picked her up at work.
And at that point, Stevie was 4.5 hours late?
4:30 to 9.
Why didn't you call the police sooner?
I was busy looking and just thinking he was playing at some boys' house.
Were you mad at him?
No,
You weren't mad at him for being late?
no, no, we didn't act like that.
You didn't act like that? What do you mean by that, sir?
We just didn't act like that.
Were you lenient with him? You didn't punish him much?
We was good parents.
That's not my question. Did you punish him much?
No,
Didn't you tell the police in June of '07 that you used to hit him with a belt?
if we corrected him with the belt, we would whoop him with a belt, but no, we didn't go around hitting him with belts.
Well, so you did when you got mad at him, you would hit him with a belt. You'd punish him with a belt.
No,
No? So you
No.
were lying to the police then?
no, sure wouldn't.
Well, what is it? When you would punish him, would you hit him with the belt or not?
There was other forms of punishment besides whooping them with belts.
I understand that, but would you whoop him with a belt?
I have.
And you used to leave marks on him, didn't you?
Not that I ever seen.
Did you lose your temper very often?
No.
Pretty even keel guy?
Try to be.
You ever hit your wife?
Slapped her once.
Only once?
Mm-hmm.
You have to answer out loud.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so how long before you had to go, because it was just you and Amanda went to pick up Pam, right?
Correct.
So at some point you had to go back to Mr. Jacoby's house to get your daughter.
Yes.
At what point did you go back to Mr. Jacoby's house to get your daughter?
Before I went and picked Pam up.
Understand that. How long?
I don't know.
Did you spend any time at Mr. Jacoby's house after you were out looking and you came back to get Amanda before you went to pick up Pam? Or was it, come on, Amanda, we got to go?
I'm sure I took her over there, dropped her off, or took him back home, picked her up, and went and picked Pam up. I'm not sure how long we was there.
You have something to drink?
I don't drink.
Well, maybe a glass of water?
No.
And you don't drink? You don't drink alcohol?
No.
Did you then?
A little bit, socially.
Socially? Well, did you have anything to drink that night?
No.
And it's your testimony you weren't mad at your stepson for being out late?
Correct.
When you and Mr. Jacoby were driving around looking for Stevie prior to 9 o'clock, did you get out of the car at all?
Sure.
Where?
Different places in West Memphis.
Do you
we
recall?
We pulled up into this wooded place, walked down a path under a bridge.
What wooded place?
I don't know what it's called. We didn't know what we was looking for. We were just looking.
So you were just walking around in the woods?
At different times, yes.
Did you ever end up walking around in what's referred to as Robin Hill? Robin.
We done that.
So you and Mr. Jacoby got out and walked around in the Robin Hood Hills area prior to the time you picked Pam up, looking for the little boys.
Well, I'm not sure if we went to Robin Hood, but we was all over West Memphis looking for our boys.
My question to you, sir, is when you and Mr. Jacoby were looking for the 3 little boys, prior to the time that you picked up Pam, did you get out of the car and walk around the Robin?
I'm not sure.
Wouldn't that be something that would seem to be something that you would remember if that's where the little boys were eventually found and you were there? So it's your testimony. You can't recall if you searched the area where the 3 little boys were actually found?
Correct. We didn't.
I'm sorry?
We didn't.
You didn't? You
You
didn't
see-
search the area?
Where they were found, like you said, no.
What about that general area? Did you get out of the car in that general area?
Is this question still referring to the same time frame?
The same time
as
frame.
15 minutes ago.
Absolutely, Ted.
Nah, I don't recall. I'm
You
not
don't-
sure.
You don't
But
recall?
we were in and out all over town, getting in and out, going different places, looking for our little boys.
Okay. And then anything else that you did other than drive around with Mr. Jacoby, in and out of the car, different places, prior to the time that you picked up Pam?
Not that I recall.
Okay. You picked up Pam, 9 o'clock. She came out with some candy for both kids.
Correct.
And did you tell her that Stevie was still missing, or did you walk right past her to make a call?
No, she come out with 2 pieces of candy, and she said, "Where's Stevie?" And I said, "We hadn't found him yet."
And then what did she say?
He's dead.
And what did you say?
Don't say that.
Then what happened?
One of us went and called the police.
Who?
I don't know.
You don't remember if you called the police or Pam called the police?
Sure don't. Don't care.
You called the police, didn't you?
Couldn't tell you.
You don't know?
Don't know.
Do you know what the police were told when they were called at 9/11?
Mm-mm.
You have to answer out loud.
No.
Do you know what the police response was?
They came out and took a police report
Came out where?
to Catfish Island. We were still there when they came.
And how long did it take for them to get to Catfish Island?
I'm not sure. Wasn't long.
Half hour? 5 minutes?
I'm
Hour?
not sure.
What's not long in that sense of time, Mr. Hobbs?
I'm not sure. We called the police. They showed up. No one timed them.
And who was looking for Stevie at this time while you were waiting at Catfish Island for the police to show up?
Well, I don't know who was looking for Stevie. I don't know.
To your knowledge, was anybody?
I don't know if there was anyone out there looking for Stevie.
Was anybody looking for the other 2 boys as well?
You would hope.
But you don't know that.
Correct.
And then the police came to Catfish Island. You made a police report, right?
We did.
And then what happened?
We leave Catfish Island. We go to Robin Hood with the police.
Why'd you go to Robin Hood with the police?
That's the last place that we had heard that someone had seen them.
Well, wait a second now. Who said that they had seen the boys at Robin Hood?
A lot of people.
Who?
I don't know their names.
Can you give me one person who told you prior to the time that the police came to Catfish, who told you that they had seen the boys at Robin Hood?
No, I cannot.
Well, and you told the police that they were last seen at Robin Hood, right?
That's what had been told.
Who told you? And then when you say
I
we, that's
couldn't
what
tell
somebody
you.
had told you.
Exactly.
And who had told you that the boys were last seen at Robin Hood?
I'm not sure their names.
Well,
A local.
where did you find these people?
We were going door to door, or people out in their front yards asked them, "Have you seen 3 little boys?"
On bicycles.
Uh-huh. Well, yes. Someone had told us that we'd seen them going into Robin Hood.
And you don't recall who that was?
No, I don't.
It was someone in your neighborhood?
No, in the neighborhood of Robin Hood.
Was it a man or a woman who told you that?
It seemed like it was a man.
Do you recall, and I take it you don't know that person's name?
Correct.
You know how old that person was?
No.
Teenager? An elderly person?
Older person.
Kind of old like me or old like my grandfather?
I couldn't tell you, just older, an adult.
An adult. Okay. And was this between 4 and 6 before you went to the Jacobys that somebody told you this, or was this when you were with Mr. Jacoby driving around?
It was before I picked Pam up.
That's not my question.
I'm not sure of your answer.
Well, it's not my answer, it's your answer. I want to know, did the person who told you that they had last seen the boys in the Robin Hood area, was that before or after you went to Mr. Jacoby's house?
I'm not sure.
Were you alone searching for Stevie any time between 4 and 6 o'clock?
No.
Were you alone searching for Stevie any time between, well, let me back up, between 4 and 6, it was you and Amanda?
Me and Amanda, after we took Pam to work.
Okay, and Amanda at this point was 4?
She was.
All right. And between 6 o'clock and, say, 7 o'clock, were you alone at any point in time looking for Stevie?
No.
That was
Not to my knowledge.
was always with Amanda
Amanda or David.
or Mr.
There
Jacoby?
was a time I picked David up.
All right. And then you were with David from the time that you dropped Amanda off at his house until you went back to his house to pick up Amanda to go get Pam. Is that your testimony?
I was with David and a lot of other people from time to time.
Okay. And the other people were the other people in the neighborhood looking for the 3 little boys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After you picked Pam up, you went back to your house?
We went to Robin Hood first.
Went Robin Hood first with the police?
Correct.
Did you go into the woods?
We did.
Did you see anything?
Woods, growed up brush.
How long were you at Robin Hood with the police?
I don't recall.
Long time or short time?
Short time because it was coming up on their shift change.
Okay. Do you recall when the shift change was?
No, I don't.
And how many police officers were with you and Pam and Amanda and looking in the Robin Hoods area?
Well, first of all, Amanda wasn't there.
Well, I thought you went straight from Catfish to the
But I
Robin.
think she sat in the car. I don't think she got out.
Okay, but she was with you in the car but didn't get
Okay.
out. Okay. And then you and Pam and the police officer got out.
Mhm.
How many police officers
Yes.
were there?
One,
And do you recall who that was?
Regina Meeks.
Okay. And how long, you don't recall how long you spent there?
No, but it wasn't long.
5 minutes?
Maybe that or a little longer.
Okay. And then after that you went home?
I believe we did.
Okay. And what'd you do when you got home? Do you recall what time you got home?
No, sir.
Approximate?
No.
Do you have any idea, a sense of how long between the time Pam had gotten off work until the time you got home?
No, I don't.
What happened when you got home?
Well, we changed clothes and went back out.
Pam changed clothes out of her work clothes.
She did.
And you changed clothes?
Probably. I don't remember.
Why would you have changed clothes?
I said probably. I don't remember.
Okay. If you changed clothes, why would you have changed clothes?
Because I wanted to.
Why?
I don't have a why.
You just did?
If I did, It's because I wanted to. I might have had on nicer clothes, wanted to put on something that wasn't so nice, being
Okay.
out there in them woods.
Okay. And how long were you at home before you and Pam then went back out?
I'm not sure.
And did you and Pam then go out together?
We did.
Who was watching Amanda?
Probably the Jacobys.
Did you take Amanda to the Jacobys, or were the Jacobys at your house?
No, we would probably take them back over there.
Okay, so you took Amanda. I'm just trying to figure out what happened. So then you and Pam changed. You took Amanda to the Jacobys.
We did.
You and Pam took Amanda to the Jacobys, dropped her off, and then went and searched some more.
Yes, sir.
Where'd you go? And just you and Pam at that point.
David might have went with us. Matter of fact, David did go with us,
Walking or driving?
driving.
Your car or his car?
Probably ours.
Okay. Do you recall what car?
No, no, I don't.
Okay. Where'd you go look?
Well, it was kind of hard to get your focus off of Robin Hood because we were told that they were last seen going into Robin Hood and not knowing what Robin Hood was. When you go out there and look at it, it was a place that you didn't want to see your kids hanging out at. So we went back to Robin Hood.
Direct off from the Jacobys.
Well, I'm not going to say direct.
But that was where you were. That's where you ended up.
It was.
You recall about what time you got to Robin Hood with you and Mr. Jacoby and Pam?
No, I don't.
Did you get out of the car? Did you guys get out of the car?
We did.
Did you walk back in the woods?
Yeah. We did.
Were there areas of the woods that you just didn't go back in because you didn't like the feeling?
You just didn't. We didn't know what was out there.
That's not my question. My question was, were there parts of the woods that you have said that you just got a bad feeling and you didn't want to go back into?
Yeah.
Describe that for me.
Well, it's dark. You don't know what's out there, so you just don't want to go out there.
But your stepson's out there.
We didn't know that.
You know he's somewhere.
We didn't know he was out there.
You knew he was out there missing.
We knew he was last seen going. Someone said they had last seen him going in there. We did not know he was out there.
And did you say, I'm not going back in there?
I don't recall that.
You say, I had a bad feeling about this place, I'm not going back there?
Well, there was a part of it.
And
I might have said that too.
who would you have told that to? I got a bad feeling about this place, I'm not going back there.
David and my father-in-law, Jackie Hicks Sr.
Well, Jackie was with you now too?
He was.
Who else was with you?
Well, there was different people at different times.
How many people? When did your father-in-law hook up with you after you went to the Jacobys?
Pam called him.
And my question was, when did he hook up with you as part of the search? Because when we left the Jacobys, it was you and Mr. Jacoby and Amanda, and Pam in the car. So I'm trying to figure out when all these other people joined up with you.
Amanda was probably stayed at the Jacobys.
Exactly, and it was you and Pam and Mr. Jacoby.
And her dad and mother were en route from Blytheville to West Memphis.
Okay. And how did they know to end up at Robin Hood?
We met up with them somewhere.
Where?
I couldn't tell you.
When?
Couldn't tell you.
Is that before or after you'd been to Robin Hood the first time?
Probably after. Well, I know it was.
The first time was with the police.
Right.
And then
First time might have been before the police, when we was in the neighborhood
with you and David.
And some of the neighborhood locals.
Okay. And then you went back with the police.
Correct. With Pam.
And Pam. And then you and Mr. Jacoby and Pam. Was that just the three of you? And then you went back a fourth time? Or did you have your father-in-law and a bunch of other folks there?
We were in and out of Robin Hood all night long.
Okay. Okay. And at one point, Mr. Jacoby had to go home because he had to be at work the next day, right?
Correct.
And what time was that? Did Mr. Jacoby?
A.M., early A.M.
No. What time did you take Mr. Jacoby back to his house?
I'm not sure.
Before midnight or after midnight?
After.
Before 2 or after 2?
I'm not sure.
Sometime between midnight and 2?
Before daylight.
It's not my question.
I'm not sure.
Before 2?
Not sure.
After you dropped Mr. Jacoby off at his house, you and Pam went back to your house?
Seemed like we might have.
Well, you did, right? That's what's in the journal. That's what's been testified to. That's what you told the police, right?
Okay.
Well, I'm not. Okay, that's what you told the police, right?
All right.
And then what happened?
Well, we go to school the morning of the 6th, where the boys went to school to see if they have arrived at school. And they were not there.
Okay. So when you got home, after you dropped Mr. Jacoby off and you and Pam went home, what happened, Mr. Hobbs, between then and when you went to school?
Well, I know the media showed up and did a live interview because we had been trying to we were in and out of the police department 2 or 3 times that night, down there asking them for help.
And the police weren't searching at that point, were they?
We didn't see them.
Okay. It was all just private citizens, if you will. Family,
And
neighbors,
friends.
But the media showed up. They were at the school, right? Or were they at your house?
Seemed like the media was out in Robin Hood. I don't really remember, but it seemed like they were in Robin Hood.
Okay. But my question is, between, say, 2 o'clock, whenever you dropped Mr. Jacoby off, sometime between midnight and 2, and you went back to the house.
Seemed like I dropped Mr. Jacoby off, or I didn't drop him off, or we might have, I'm not sure. But he had to be at work a.m. on the 6th.
I understand that. And so he got back.
And I wanted him to go to work and tell our boss what we was doing.
So is it your testimony Mr. Jacoby was with you all night until he went to work? Is that your testimony?
Well, he was with Pam. There was a time he was with Pam, and there was we might have all been together.
Well,
Yeah,
I
wouldn't doubt it.
I'm trying to figure out what happened, and I want you to tell me the best you can, Mr. Hobbs, under oath. Did you take Mr. Jacoby home sometime before 2 so he could get some sleep before work, or was he with you right up until the time he had to go to work?
I don't remember that.
Was there a point in time when you went home and left Pam at home?
No.
So Pam was with you all night?
Or her dad and mom. They come down and we went in separate vehicles. There was a time when me and David rode around. There was a time me and Pam rode around. There was a time we all followed each other around.
I want to specifically focus on what happened, say, between 1 in the morning and 6 in the morning. Where were you?
With family and friends and the police.
There was never, so it's your testimony, there was never a point in time when you were alone between 1 and 6 a.m. Is that your testimony, sir?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And were you out searching this entire time, or were you at home?
Searching.
So you never were at home?
Well, there was a time we went home. I'm not sure what time, but yeah, there was a time we went home.
And then after you went home, did you go back out?
Sure.
And did Pam go with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you go searching then?
Robin Hood, riding around West Memphis at the school.
Okay. Did you do, there's been some discussion in the media over the years about you doing laundry the evening of the 5th or the morning of the 6th. Recall that?
It didn't happen.
You didn't do any laundry?
No, I didn't.
So if someone were to testify that they saw you doing laundry in the morning of the 6th, the evening of the 5th or morning of the 6th, beds, bed sheets, drapes, curtains, clothes, all that crap, all that stuff, they would be lying.
Most definitely.
Okay. Would you agree with me that under the circumstances, that if you had done laundry, that that would have been a most unusual time to do it?
Well, I'm not going to agree with you because it didn't happen.
Okay. But if it did happen,
It didn't.
assume with me that it did.
I will not.
Would you agree that it would be most unusual to do laundry at that point, given what's going on in your life at that point, sir?
Well, it didn't happen in my life, so I don't know how to answer that.
If Pam would have done laundry, would you have agreed that that would have been a most unusual time to do laundry?
We don't have a schedule for doing things. We just done them.
That's not my question. Would you agree that if someone's child has been missing, is missing, and that a police report has been filed, and that family and friends are out searching the night and searching the woods, that it would be most unusual for a parent of one of those missing children to do laundry?
If it happened, it probably would be.
Would be a most unusual.
I would think.
Did you speak with the media on the morning of the 6th?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Hobbs, we've been going for some period of time. It's probably a good time to take a break. 5-minute, what I like to call personal comfort break.
Sounds good.
We are going off record for a break at 10:43 a.m. And we are now back on record after a break at 10:58 a.m.
Thank you. Mr. Hobbs, you understand you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
All right. Why do you think the little boys were killed?
Don't know why.
You think it was something that got out of hand, or you
I
think
don't
it was
know.
planned?
I don't know.
Do you ever tell anybody that you thought it was something that got out of hand?
I don't remember that.
Do you ever telling anybody that didn't think the people could handle the truth of what happened?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that?
Mm-mm.
If somebody testified that you said that, would they be lying?
I'm not sure.
In your journal, you said that the boys were overkilled. What did you mean by that?
The medical examiner made that statement. I was just repeating him.
Okay. So it's okay to repeat things that are said in court?
I did mine.
I'm sorry?
I did mine.
I still didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I did
You did?
repeat his statement.
And that's okay. That doesn't. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
I don't know.
Well, you didn't think you did anything wrong when you repeated what the medical examiner said in court, did you?
That's what he said.
Well, did you think you were saying or doing anything wrong when you repeated what was said in court?
No.
Okay. After you divorced Pam, or maybe even before you divorced Pam, you had a girlfriend, didn't you?
That would have been after.
Okay. After you divorced Pam, you had a girlfriend, right?
I had a lady friend.
What was her name?
One of them, Sharon Nelson.
Okay. When did you start dating Mrs. Nelson?
I
Ms.
couldn't
Nelson?
tell you.
Is she an honest lady?
Well, you might want to ask her.
I'm asking you, do you have an opinion as to whether or not she's an honest and truthful lady?
I don't know.
You have any reason to doubt anything that she says?
I sure do.
Why?
Because of the statement that she made to somebody.
Well, what statement are you referring to?
The one that you have a copy of.
You don't know what statements I have. What statement
I
are
do
you
too.
What statement are you referring to?
The one you have a copy of, made by Miss Sharon Nelson.
Well, what did she say that causes you to question whether or not she's an honest and truthful woman?
She made the statement that I told her that I discovered the boy's body before the police.
What else did she say?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, did you ever tell her that?
Never, not one time in my life.
Okay. Did you do drugs when you were in her?
No,
You didn't do any drugs when you were around her?
no.
Do any drinking when you were around her? Is that still when you were drinking?
If I did, it'd been a beer.
Just a beer?
Probably.
So-
I'm not sure if I did or not.
And at what time was she your, not girlfriend, woman friend? Lady friend?
You said what time?
During what time frame?
I'm not after I divorced Pam.
When did you divorce Pam?
Seemed like that was in 05, 06, 05 maybe.
And how long after you divorced Pam in 05, 06 did you get this lady friend?
I don't know.
Well, 06, 07, 07, 08?
Sounds good.
No, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell me
I don't
when you
keep
first.
up with stuff like that.
When did you live with her?
No.
No.
I had my own home.
You had your own home. She was your lady friend.
Hmm.
Close,
Close. No.
intimate.
I don't know.
Well, were you intimate with her?
I doubt it.
So you don't remember if you were intimate with her?
I probably.
Probably.
Yeah, she's not the type that you just hook up with.
What do you mean by that?
She wasn't my pick of the litter.
What do you mean by that?
Just what I said.
When you say when she said she wasn't your pick of the litter, what does that mean? I'm not familiar with that term.
There's nicer ladies out there.
Okay, but you spent time with her,
I did.
had conversations with her,
Sure.
had conversations with her about Stevie and the murders.
Well, about Stevie. Sure.
Sure, had conversations with her about the murders.
No.
No, no conversation. Well, no conversations about the trial.
Probably with the trials.
With the trial. Any conversations with her about the West Memphis 3?
Probably.
Okay. And did you tell her at any point in time, did you discuss with her what happened, what you thought happened to the 3 little boys?
Probably to some degree.
What did you tell her?
I couldn't tell you.
Were you honest and truthful with her?
I tried to be.
Okay. And now she has said that you told her that you found the little boys prior to the police finding them, right?
I read that.
Okay. And did you? Did you find the little boys prior to the police finding them, Mr. Hobbs?
No, sir. Mike Allen of the West Memphis Police Department found the little boys.
My question is, did you find them before he did?
No, I did not.
Did you put them underwater before he did?
No.
You
He didn't do it either.
Well, he didn't do it either. Didn't ever said he did it. Matter of fact, no one's. Miss Hobbs, Miss Pasdar didn't say you did it either, did she? She didn't say you did that.
Objection calls for legal conclusion.
You're not aware of Miss Hobbs, Miss Pasdar ever saying you did that, are you?
You need to check with her.
No, I need to check with you. Are you aware of her saying at any point in time that you killed those little boys?
Yeah, I believe she did.
When? When did she say you
In
killed
Little
those?
Rock on the internet.
And when you say Little Rock, you mean the rally.
Hmm.
Have you looked at the YouTube video of that rally?
No, I haven't.
Do you know if your name is even mentioned at the rally?
It seemed like it was.
Why do you say that? Who told you that it was?
Out of the newspaper, the media,
Okay.
TVs.
And they said that and it's your testimony that the media and the newspapers reported that Miss Pasdar mentioned you by name at the rally.
She brought up the new DNA, and everybody knew what the new DNA was all about.
How did they know?
Ask them.
Well, I'm going to ask you, and the reason is after the DNA results, you were informed by the DNA results, you picked up, or you had somebody pick up the phone and call the media yourself, didn't you?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember reaching out to the media to get your story out about the DNA prior to
Sure.
the time? You did, didn't you?
After the fact
After what fact?
that they come up with some new DNA.
Right, but it was before you were interviewed by the police that you reached out to the media, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
It was before they filed their habeas corpus that you reached out to the media, didn't was it?
I'm not sure.
Who reached out to? Did you reach out to the media, or was that Mr. Sampson, or someone else?
The media came looking for me.
But didn't you call the media?
Well, the media came looking for me. I went and got a hold of Mr. Sampson and asked him if he would talk to the media because I was tired of them.
You called Jamie Roach, didn't you? Janice Broach. You
I'm
called
not
Janice
sure.
Broach, didn't you?
I've called Janice several times.
Who was Janice Broach?
She's Janice Broach. She's a reporter,
For who?
Channel 5 in Memphis,
Channel 5. Is that one of the networks?
a local TV station.
Do they have a network affiliation, like NBC or ABC or Fox? Or
I'm not sure. Seem like they do, but I'm not sure.
okay. And how many times over the years have you reached out to Miss Broach?
I've talked to her a few times. I'm not sure how many.
Well, more than 5?
I imagine.
More than 10?
I couldn't tell you.
How many times have you called her about a story?
I'm not sure.
Isn't it true, Mr. Hobbs, that prior to the time that the new DNA results were made public, that you called Miss Broach, told her about the results, and that you wanted to talk to her about it?
I'm not sure about that.
You did do it, though, didn't you? You or somebody on your
sure.
behalf.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Well, who would know? If Miss Broach testifies to that, you think she's a liar?
I trust her.
You think she's a... So if she said that you did, you think that'd be right?
Well, I don't know what she would say, but
If someone were to testify that you contacted the media prior to the public release of the DNA in an effort to get your side of the story out on the DNA, would that be a lie?
I don't know. I don't recall that.
Well, did you contact them? Did you contact the media and try to get your side of the story out?
I did at one point
When was that?
after all this stuff was going on.
What stuff you talking about?
They had my DNA supposedly out there, and people were looking at me like I was a suspect. That's when I wanted my story out there.
And this was before you were interviewed by the police, right? Because the police were
I'm
responding
not
to all.
sure about that.
The police were responding to all the questions and public inquiry about whether or not it was your DNA found in the ligature of that little boy, right?
I'm not sure. The police had never told me that was my DNA.
Well, didn't the police and the police in some of the press say that that it was your DNA, but that it got there by what do they call transfer? Didn't
Okay.
the
I can
police
accept that.
didn't the police say that?
Objection, that's a hearsay statement.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You don't recall the police ever saying that it was your DNA, but it got there via innocent transfer?
I do recall the police saying that Mr. Hobbs was not a suspect in '93, and he's not one in '07.
That's not my question. My question was, do you recall the police saying that it was your DNA, but that it had gotten there through innocent transfer?
Well, I don't recall that.
And do you recall Mr. Sampson not testifying, stating in the question to the media that sure it could be your DNA, but it would have gotten there through innocent transfer? You recall Mr. Sampson saying that in your presence to the media?
I don't remember. Had to ask Ross.
Isn't that what happened?
What?
That it is your hair and it got there through innocent transfer?
The police has never told me it was my hair.
That wasn't my question. I wasn't.
Well,
Mr.
you
Hobbs.
might need to ask them because I don't know.
You think it was your hair?
No.
Why not?
It could have been. I'm not sure.
Could have been. Do you know what percentage of the population matched that hair?
Seemed like it was 1 in versus 2 or 3 million.
1 in 2 or 3 million?
I'm just guessing. There were statistics on it.
1 or 2 or 3 million match, or 1 or 2 in 2 or 3 million can be excluded?
Well, whichever.
Well, there's a big difference, isn't there?
I'm not sure.
Objection, lack of foundation. He's not an expert in DNA or statistics.
Who first told you about the DNA match?
Ron Lax.
And who was Mr. Lax?
He is one of the investigators for Damien Eccles.
And what did you say when Mr. Lax told you that your DNA was found in the ligature of one of the knots that
I
tied up
don't
the
remember
3
what
little
I
boys?
said. I probably cussed him.
You don't like him, do you?
I don't know him. I've met him through this.
You don't like him, do you?
I've met him through this. He could have a better attitude.
Would it be fair to say you're not going to exchange Christmas cards?
Exactly.
Okay. Do you recall what Mr. Lax told you?
Oh, yeah.
What did he tell you?
What are you going to do when I sick the dogs on you?
Meaning what to you?
Ask him.
When he told you, what are you going to do when I sick the dogs on you, what did you understand that to be?
I wouldn't cooperate with him. I owed him nothing.
Not my
And
question. My question is, what did
He
you
threatened me with the dogs. Now, you might ask him, what are the dogs?
And what did you say in response when he threatened you with the dogs?
Probably a bad word.
Anything else?
Probably 2 bad words.
Just cussed him out and left?
Probably.
All right. And after he told you, that's when you called Janice Broach, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that time frame.
Okay. Let's go back to your lady friend. She also testified that not only had you found the little boys prior to the time that the police did, but that you said that they were buried underwater. What did you mean when you said that?
Well, you pick up on that through the media, because the media had put out there that the boys were buried underwater. That's the only way we knew that.
Okay. So you did tell her that the boys were buried underwater.
I'm not sure.
Well, did you or didn't you?
I don't know.
You think Pam is a good person?
I was married to Pam for 17 years.
Think she's a good person?
I wouldn't have stayed married to her if I didn't think otherwise.
Okay. Think she's an honest person?
I think she has some problems.
It's not my question. People can have problems and yet still be honest folks, Mr. Hobbs. My question is, you think she's an honest person?
No, not all the time.
Okay. Think she's a truthful person?
Not all the time.
When do you think she's not honest and truthful?
When she's mad.
Okay. Any
She
other
is
time?
mad.
Any other time?
I'm not sure.
Was she a good mom to Stevie?
Sure.
Good mom to Amanda?
Sure.
I want to ask about some of the other. Let me back up. Do you think that Pam would be honest and truthful in her statements regarding the murders and the involvement of either the West Memphis Three or you in that?
Pam has been wishy-washy. She's jumped from one side to the other.
My question to you, sir, is do you think that she will be an honest and truthful person when it comes to what happened with regard to the West Memphis Three, the murders, and your involvement in the search, or all of the actions about the event?
I think she would be honest. I would hope so.
Okay. You have no reason to think otherwise?
Oh, yeah, there's a reason.
There's reasons? Just because you...
Depends on what day she gets up.
What do you mean by that?
If she get up one day thinking one thing, she get up the next day thinking the other.
Okay.
Mr. Davison, we have less than 2 minutes on this tape.
Why don't we change the tapes then?
We are going off record for a tape change at 11:15 a.m.